Yes. No way. Oh my God.
Very subtle.
Unbelievable. Oh. And he missed it. Oh my God. Ooh la la.
Boom, no chance.
That's crazy. Game, set, and match.
This is too much.
Hello everybody. I guess you're ready. If you're not, at least I am, for this match today between Cerúndolo from Argentina and Jack Draper from UK. On the paper, this match is very exciting because of the style, first, of those two players. Because Draper is the winner of the tournament last year. He was out of the court for a long time because of an arm injury, but he's back. And this guy is so exciting to watch. At least that's my opinion. Is all power, crazy power. I just hit an incredible forehand inside-out winner. Full speed. I love his style. I think he's super physical the way he plays. Cerúndolo just I think is a great player. I think he can be ranked way higher, and I think he will. Just won Buenos Aires on clay, but he's a player that can play on hard court really well too. He's not a player that hits so much topspin. He's not the typical Argentinian player. He has so much easy power, so that makes him really exciting to watch. A few statistics from our team before starting the match, even though it's just started. We're just a little bit late today. First, we're going to focus on what both players did. Cerúndolo first, he beat Bonzi in the previous round, 7-6 in the third, hitting 8 double faults and 61% of serve points won. This includes first and second serve. Let's move to Draper, who defeated Bautista Agut also in 3 sets, but 6-2 in the third after... I don't think the score is right because he lost the first set. So it's 3-6, 6-3, 6-2. I think. I'm almost sure. He saved 6 break points out of 7, and he hit 43 winners out of 140 points, which is huge, but he's a player that is super aggressive, and he has this huge forehand and also a great serve. So let's focus on the serve first, because Draper's serve is even stronger than before he had the arm injury, which again took him out of the court for a very long time, 8 months, something like that. So now he's winning 84% of his first serve points, so plus 8.5% compared to 2025. He's also winning 81% when facing a break point in 2026. This is huge. So plus 11% compared to last year. Another thing that is interesting is that he hits a forehand 72% of the time after his serve. So it's plus 7% compared to 2025. That's huge because it shows how fast he runs around his backhand after his serve, and then he's able to dictate or hit a winner. So Cerúndolo will need to perform better after his own serve. He was attacking after his serve 67% of the time in the first 2 rounds, but he struggled to find depth when players were able to return to his backhand side. And actually, while saying that, it just got broken in the first game against Draper. That was basically it. We're going to dive into the match. As I said, I'm personally a big fan of Jack Draper's style. I think there is a lot of power that you can feel even just watching him. I think he's super powerful and super confident. Of course, as I said that, it just hit a double fault. But that's how I feel. And that's why also he's able to win so many points when he's facing a break point, because he's this super confident guy. Actually, it reminds me of something that struck me. 2 years ago, he played the UTS Grand Final in London, so his hometown. And at that time, he was something like, 50 or 60 in the world. And there were a lot of players in the top 10. Holger Rune. There was, what a forehand. Mamma mia. There was Rublev, Dominor, all those guys. And I remember just before he was about to play Rublev, he said to me, okay, I have to beat him. I said, why you say that? He said, because if I want to be at the top, I have to beat those guys. So I have to beat him. And he ended up winning that tournament, beating all those guys, playing an incredible level. Just to say, I think he really has the great mindset to become a champion. And it's interesting to see that he reached the top 10, basically being injured 6 months per year because he had a lot of injuries, a lot. That's his weakness for the moment. He has to solve this. If he does solve it, level of this guy is huge. Huge. And what I love about Cerúndolo, as I said, is that it's a player who has easy power. It looks like he does no effort. And when you see the result, the ball goes so fast out of his racket. It's really impressive. And I love that. Just an information for those who don't know, Dominor lost, and that's a surprise. He lost against Nori in 2 straight sets. And a second double fault. Yeah. Draper is a player that's really tall, but as you can see, is massive. Hello, Linda. Good to see you. You're the first one today. A bit lucky, Draper, on this one because the lob was not great. And there were so many options for Cerúndolo after this forehand down the line coming to the net. Guys, thank you for the hearts, Linda. And guys, if you feel like discussing, feel free. Of course, that's the point for this chat. Actually, on YouTube, I already have some questions. So I'm going to get them in a few seconds and I'm going to answer them. Oh, that's a great first serve. Slice out wide, amazing. The famous lefty slice for Jack Draper. And he followed at the net. I'm waiting for the questions and I'm going to answer them as soon as possible. Wills 2K24, do you think Ben Shelton can win a major? So I'm going to repeat what I said yesterday during this match. I definitely think he can. And I'm going to tell you why. I think he can, but I'm going to tell you also what he needs to do. What I think he needs to do. It's an opinion. Because there are things missing for the moment, which is fine. He's young. So why do I think... This is live, Jack Walter 1495. We're 100% live. Why do I think he can win a Grand Slam? First of all, he has the mindset. The guy is a real winner. He has a lot of ambition. He believes in himself a lot. And he's great. I mean, he's a great competitor. He's great at playing matches and finding ways to win. That's his great quality. Second, he has weapons. He has this huge serve, this big forehand. He follows a lot at the net. He's not scared to come to the net, to come forward. He's a guy that, always is the one that's decisive, making the enforced errors, making the winners, but it's always up to him, all the matches. So that's the reason why I think he can win a Grand Slam. Also, his ranking is top 10. He's young. He went up to top 10 really fast. And it's just to illustrate the fact that he's a great competitor. He never went out of the US to play a tournament in his life. First time he goes out of the US is to play the Australian Open, a Grand Slam. So everything is new. He can be impressed. And suddenly, he goes there. First time in his life he plays a Grand Slam, quarterfinals. That, for me, says a lot. Why do I think he needs to do in order to win a Grand Slam? First, I think he should be a bit lighter. He's very muscular, but the fact is that the muscles are really heavy. So he's very tall, he's very heavy because of his muscles. And in a sport where you need to move very fast side to side, I think if he would lose 5-6 kilos, I think he would make a huge difference. Because at the moment when he plays the top guys, when they play fast to the sides, he's slicing on both forehand and backhand because he's late. When you look at Sinner Alcaraz, when you move them to the side, they find a way to accelerate the ball and they counterpunch you. That's a huge difference. Second, he needs to still improve his backhand. Third, he needs to improve his return and return way more balls into the court, the opponent's first serves. I think he needs to improve his slice backhand because he doesn't involve the body and the slice very often is floating rather than going fast and low. What did I for? And his shot selection, of course. He's going for his shot a lot, which is fine, but he needs to find a good balance between being aggressive but not missing too much. And at the moment, I think there are too many enforced errors in his game. Sometimes he goes for too much on balls on which he will miss more than he will succeed. You can think, oh wow, that's a lot, he's far. Yes, but to be top 10 and have such a margin for improvement, I think it's a very good sign, and I'm sure he's doing the work, so definitely I think he's someone who can win Grand Slams. Linda has a question. Is modern tennis becoming more mental than physical? Definitely. I don't want to diminish the physical side because I think it's huge. But I also think that the physical side has improved a lot in the last 10 years because the players get more money, more prize money. So they're able to hire a fitness coach and a physio on tour all year long. So they keep progressing. And I think if you look at tennis, maybe not 10, but 15, 20 years ago, all the tall guys were unable to move on the court. They had big serve, they couldn't move well. Now you look at the guys, Zverev, Medvedev, they're super tall, they're moving incredibly fast. So this is thanks to the fitness. The fitness, everybody has more or less. As I said, sometimes it's a question of weight also. Look at Arthur Fils, the French guy. Before his injury and now, he lost 6 kilos and his muscles. And I think it's a great move from him, and I think it's going to improve his level a lot. But it's extremely mental, to answer you, Linda. Yes, it's such a mental game. It's unbelievable because if you break down what a match is about, it's just a few points. And I think the semifinal of the last Australian Open between Sinner and Novak showed how mental that is, because Sinner won way more points than Novak during that match, but Novak won because he won the right points. So when it comes to the right points, it's very mental, and the guys who are the best competitors, they will always be better on those points. Of course, the confidence of the moment has to do with it, but I agree with you, it's extremely mental, but I would say that life is mental. Let's Line Live, good to see you again. Good to see you on the chat again. And hi. Let's Line was on Twitch, same as Linda. Now I have a question on YouTube from Andy Yo 2010. For me, you're a real winner because all of your videos, I learned so much from you, even if I'm just a beginner. Thanks, Patrick, for your effort. Well, I didn't expect that. Thank you very much for this message. I'm extremely motivated to do those videos and help people progress. That's why I'm doing that every single day. And a message like this gives me even more excitement and more motivation to do it. So thanks a lot. Apocalypse Chat. Good evening, Patrick and chat. Hello, my friend. Good to see you back. This is on Twitch. Then I go back to YouTube with PSS Fun. I'm playing tennis from age 8 years and now I'm 20. Currently competing at a national level, but I don't know about my dominant eye. And let's say if I find and then my technique is not according to it. Listen, if you have a good level, it means that you're doing most of the things right, so no stress. But maybe knowing your dominant eye will make you do a few little adjustments that are going to be a game changer. So that's why I can only encourage you to find out, and then you'll know what you can improve. But, all the champions, most of them didn't know that they're dominant eye. They just naturally did the right thing, even though they were sometimes taught the opposite. They were probably saying, no, but I don't feel good doing this. I feel better, for example, if I keep open stance here, I don't feel good in close stance. Or I feel better hitting the ball more on the side than in front. Stuff like that. Because the top players, they're very instinctive. So it's very rare that they accept to do something that they feel uncomfortable with. They're okay to make changes. But after a certain time, if they don't see a real improvement, they will go back. So no stress. And while we're talking, Draper is crushing it. Started really strong. Broke straight away. Won his serve. And now Cerúndolo is again struggling to win his own serve. Let's line live. Hello and welcome to the chat. Good to see you. No, double fault from Cerúndolo. So Cerúndolo is incredibly talented. I think, as I said, he has so much easy power, so much. He's moving fast, but is very, how can I say that? Very emotional. And a lot of times he struggles to deal with his frustration. And too often he's losing matches because he's just losing it a little bit. And he's under huge pressure today because Draper started the match really strong. He was on his face and boom, 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 which is the way he plays. And I love his tattoo on the shoulder. It's the thunder, and it's the symbol of UTS. I have the trophy of UTS, and it's the same. It's actually the thunder of Zeus. I'm going to show you. I have it here. I hope you can see it. Let me show you the UTS trophy. And it's crazy because, as I said, Draper won UTS, the grand final, and he takes off his shirt because he had normal sleeves like me. And suddenly I see the tattoo. I said, "Oh my God!" But it's unbelievable. He said, "Yeah, I know. It's crazy, no? Like he was born to win UTS." I'm back, but that's not the real trophy. Huh? It's a small version of it for my office. The real one is huge and it's so heavy. And when the guys win, we don't like to do the classical trophy ceremony where they say thank you to the sponsors, thank you to my grandmother. I think it's very boring, personally. So I said, no, we don't do that. It's going to be like a superstar entrance. You take that trophy and you raise it like this, like a god, and it's going to be an explosion. But it's so heavy, so after a few minutes, I mean, all the journalists and photographers are taking pictures, and the guy starts to have his arm go down, and he can't anymore say, I can't. So heavy. Deuce again. Yeah, for the moment, Cerúndolo doesn't feel comfortable in the rally, and a lot of guys do that, which is a big mistake. They try to get rid of the ball. They try to go for a winner too early, or they go for drop shots, but just they avoid the rally. And it's interesting because I was watching the first match of Fonseca here, and I saw something I've seen a lot with him. First set he loses it, and that's exactly what he's doing. He kind of refuses to rally and try to go for crazy winners too early. And I think at that time, I mean, if he doesn't stop doing that, he's not going to win those matches. So he has to accept to rally, build, and during the match, he's going to feel more and more comfortable, and then he's going to be able to hit winner. But if you go for the winner too early and you start to miss one and miss a second one, and then you make a winner, but then you miss another one, you can't feel solid in your game, and it's super stressful, and that's not the right way to play. He still fights in the second, and in the tiebreak he's down 6-4, 2 match points, but he ends up winning that second set. And in the third, because he won the second, he starts to be more comfortable and he starts to rally. He ends up winning the match, and then he plays a great match, the next one, accepting to rally. First match was against Kachanov. And now, when he's finally getting his game back, now he's very, very dangerous. And if he would do this at every match, I think he wouldn't do like what happened last year, was one fantastic tournament, and then first round, second round, third round, second round, one fantastic tournament again. It has to be up to him to play those fantastic tournaments, and for that, he needs to accept to rally at every single point in every single match. Thank you, Linda, for subscribing. Wow. And for the presents. That's very nice. And you offered one to Martin Wiz. Oof, lucky Martin. Hello, MJ23 Balls. Welcome. I have also a question on YouTube from Wills2K24. What does a slow and fast court mean, and how can you tell the difference between the two? Well, it's very simple. It's just about what happens. Sorry, what happens after the bounce. So how fast the ball goes after the bounce. If you have a machine that throws the ball at, I don't know, 50 kilometers per hour, how fast does it go after the bounce? Simple. So there are some balls that go at 40, some balls that go at 30 kilometers per hour, and then you can measure the speed, and it's a huge difference. And a lot of the complaints of the players is that in a tournament, and especially the Grand Slams, the main court is way slower than the other courts, which means that the top players play only on slower courts all the time. They're used to it, and they play players who have been playing on faster courts, and suddenly when they play the top guys, they play on a court that is much slower than the ones they played on to reach that level. So it's difficult for them to win. It's already difficult for them to win, but it's a disadvantage on top of the fact that they play a top guy. I have another YouTube question from Mike S6T1E, who's asking me if I think that Musetti or Dimitrov are losing in a way because of their backhand, and do I think for Wawrinka his backhand is a disadvantage for him? My answer is you can be very clear. No, I don't think so. First of all, we're talking about two top players. I mean, actually three, if I include Wawrinka. Wawrinka is a 3 times Grand Slam winner. Dimitrov was number 3 in the world of 4 and won the Masters at the end of the season. Musetti is top 10 and is young. And I think the best is yet to come. So, it's not such a disadvantage if it is one. I don't think that, Stan won 3 Grand Slam at a time when it was the most difficult, when there was Roger, Rafa, Novak at the top. And he won beating them. He beat several times Novak, including in the final of Roland Garros. He beat Novak and Rafa to win the Australian Open. So to say that his backhand is a disadvantage, no. I think it's, by the way, by far the best shot of his game. And I know that the question that is not directly asked is one-hand backhand a disadvantage? Well, it depends on the one-hand backhand. I think that in the case of Grigor, that's not his best shot, for sure not. I think his forehand is way better. In the case of Wawrinka, his backhand is definitely his best shot. And you say, why are they losing? Well, we're talking about a guy who won the Masters and number 4 in the world, and another guy who's top 10. And I don't think the matches he lost, it was because of his backhand. Way too short, this forehand of Cerúndolo. And against Draper, if you give him the shot, he takes it. Trust me. 5-1 for the British, who's really cruising in that first set. And in the match between Bublik and Ijikata, 5-game-all in the first set. Bublik, who's also someone who made incredible progress. And the story, and just to answer again the question of Linda, how much mental it is, listen to this story. The guy is at the best ranking, maybe 25. That's his best ranking. He's here for a very long time. He's someone that everybody loves to watch because of his style and the crazy shots that he loves to hit. But he's definitely not a top guy. He's not a top guy. At the start of 2025, he started to have a lot of bad losses in first round, second round. And he thinks, okay, I'm probably done for tennis. I can't anymore. I don't have the level anymore. I'm going to give up. And then comes Roland Garros, and he reaches quarterfinals. Best result in a Grand Slam ever. Thanks to the confidence that he got from that, he started to win tournaments, another one and another one. He ends up the season being the only guy besides Alcaraz who beat Sinner, and is top 10 in the world. And he didn't do anything special. He just gained confidence, and he went to a completely different level. And now he's solid. He was never solid. Never, never, never. He could beat anyone, lose to anyone. Now he's solid because the confidence is here. So when he plays guys, he thinks, I'm too good to get beaten like that. I want to win. It sounds simple, but only feeling super confident you can think like that. Wow. For the moment, it's a one-way street. 5-1 and 2 break points to take again the serve of Cerúndolo for Draper. And he would have broken him 3 times in that set. Done. 6-1. Completely one-sided. And amazing tennis from Jack Draper, but very disappointing first set from Cerúndolo, who made way too many unforced errors. First game of the second set, 6-1 for Draper. I just want to say a few words. I have questions and I'm going to answer them. No, let's go first to the statistics from the Muratoglu analytics team about this match. So Draper, in the first 6 games of the match, 90% of his serve +1. So the first shot after the serve was a forehand. That's crazy. How fast he moves around the backhand, and it says a lot about the quality of his first serve also. And for Cerúndolo, who also loves to run around the backhand, and we can see it in that rally, he was able to hit a forehand after his first serve only 57% of the time. That's a huge difference between the two. That's very well done from Cerúndolo, by the way. He can play great tennis, this guy. He didn't show it at all in the first set, but trust me, he's an amazing player. I want to say also, just before answering the questions, a few words about Novak. I don't know if you know, but he won today. He won a difficult match. 6-4 in the third, lost the second 6-1. And you can think, oh, wow, against Kovacevic, well, the guy is not in a good form. It's going to be difficult for him. I'm very pleased with Novak's performance. And you know why? For one reason. He really wants to win. And I mean, one interesting statistic is that it's the first time since 2017 that he reaches the last 16 of Indian Wells. It's crazy, no? As I said many times, his motivation is the Grand Slams, and that's the only reason why he still plays, to potentially close the 25th. And actually, it's interesting that Draper just got broken hitting a backhand after his first serve. And it's interesting because the return of Cerúndolo was short and he could have hit a forehand on this one. And on top of it, Cerúndolo was completely outside the court. Yeah, so I'm very pleased because I don't think he played poorly. I think first Kovacevic played incredible. Of course, Novak can play way better than that, but he was there mentally. He was really there. We've seen him a lot last year, for example, in Masters 1000, first round, second round, losing without caring at all. And he cared. And I like it, and I see it as something very positive. And I think if he's able to maintain this mindset in all the Masters 1000 this year, he's going to put himself in a much better position to potentially win another Grand Slam. So I was pleased with this match. Let's go back to some questions. We have one from Lewis Chapman Analysis, which is the person in charge of Muratoglu Analytics. Okay, Cerúndolo has already made 7 forehand errors, trying to get really deep or wide into Draper's backhand side. How do you prepare a player to not overthink when playing someone with such a massive weapon like Draper forehand? I know the answer in terms of what the likes of Djokovic would do against Rafa's forehand tactically, but interested more in the psychological side pre-match. That's a very good question. You don't build anything positive mentally out of fear. So I don't know how he was briefed before the match, but if the goal is to avoid the crazy good Draper's forehand, this is called fear. I would rather build a strategy knowing the strengths of the other player, but build always to be the one dictating, the one in charge. So I would rather go first to his backhand, and then you can attack the forehand, for example, rather than avoid his forehand is dangerous, because then you create fear, and fear is not a good advisor at all. And that, in a way, it helps producing mistakes, fear, where an offensive mindset is always better. Unbelievable how in the second set, Cerúndolo plays like Draper in the first and vice versa. Draper making unforced error, Cerúndolo hitting winners, playing Super solid, super aggressive. Look at that. This is the easy power. It looks like he just caressed the ball and bomb. When Draper hits the ball, you feel there's the power here, but not Cerúndolo. But the result is really good. Let's line live. To add to the mental conversation brought up by I am Linda DT, I saw an interview last night with Alcaraz. He said he has been working with a psychologist since 2022, and he has made the biggest difference in his tennis. He could not have been this good had he not been mentally sound. It's a conversation. We have a statistics also about this first set. Now it's over. We're already in the second. Okay, so first set, Cerúndolo, 1 forehand winner, 12 forehand and first errors. Draper, 5 forehand winners, only 1 forehand and first error. That's basically the story of the first set. For the moment, the second set starts in a completely opposite way. Okay, Draper wins his serve very comfortably. And while they're sitting down, I'm going to answer a YouTube question from PSS Fan. How much fitness we have to do in 1 week for reaching peak level? And please upload your masterclass more regularly. You know what, PSS Fan? You're 100% right. I have to be more serious about doing masterclasses for YouTube. I've done quite a few, and I tell you, this is something I'm going to do in the future because you're 100% right. About the fitness, I think you have to take things looking backwards rather than forward. This is the day I want to be at my top form. So this is what I do, day -1, day -2, day -3, day -4, etc., etc. If you have 2 weeks, it's better. If you have 1 week, you can still do a lot of work. I'm not going to go into too much details, but basically you have to charge Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, like push hard. Do, of course, a lot of things that are tennis-like. So what I mean by tennis-like, it's explosive exercise with a lot of repetitions, because that's what tennis is about. And then slowly going from a big load at the start of the week, unload, and you can even take a day off the day before, and then you'll be full. But you should, if you want to invest in your tennis and you want to be at the top physically, you should invest in a fitness coach that knows tennis well, because that's always the danger. Because a lot of fitness coaches are good at what they're doing, but they don't know tennis and what tennis effort is about. Because as I said, it has to be tennis-like. I have a question from Cedric Rouquet, tennis, on Twitch. Based on set 1, is Draper close to his best in your opinion? Or only a tough match versus a top 5 can let us know? Let's put it that way. I don't think he's close to his best yet. But I think after being injured for such a long time, he came back to a very good level, extremely fast. So for him at that point, every match is a bonus because every match brings him closer to his best level. And maybe if he wins today, if he wins today, he's going to play against Novak. So that would be very interesting. But, a few more matches and maybe he's going to be very close to his best. Just want to have a look at the other matches. We also have women's matches at the moment. Andreeva Siniakova, 4-3 Siniakova, no break. And Mertens, Bencic is starting. And about the results, Mukova, who we love watching, of course, beat Ruzic. And Pegula beat Ostapenko, 6-2 in the third. Mukova 6-0, 6-3. And the young, extremely promising, already top 10, 19 years old Victoria Mboko from Canada beat Kalinskaya 6-4, 6-1. For the men, I gave you the results. Djokovic beat Kovacevic in 3 sets, 6-4 in the third. Nori beat Dominor 6-4, 6-4. And Bublik just won the first set against Hijikata 7-6, 7-3 in a tiebreak. And I see a statistics that I find very interesting in that match between Cerúndolo and Draper. Draper, who just broke back, by the way, 2-all. That's very interesting. First of all, he serves 73% of first serves. That's really big. Second, he wins 86% after his first serve and 13% after his second. What does it tell us? It tells us that when he's dominating the rally and is in a position to dictate, is unbelievably dangerous. It means also on the other side that when he's not, he's way weaker. Only 13% of points won. Apocalypse Chat on Twitch points out that Cerúndolo hit only 2 winners in the first set and already 5 in the second. He clearly started the second set way better than the first. Hi, Holy Bastard. Welcome back on our chat. And a question on Twitch from Lesline Live. What are your thoughts on the Rage Room? There is a proposal to add Rage Rooms on tour where players can go and privately release their anger. I'm a bit desperate from that. I understand the point because when players are crazy frustrated after a loss and they want to take the rage out and shout or break a racket, they want to have privacy for that, because when they don't have privacy, everybody's judging them. And I think that's one of the big problem of today's world. Like, people are so judgmental. They don't know tennis. They don't understand tennis. They don't understand the pressure that those guys go through. They don't understand how desperate players are sometimes when they lose a match. But to have to hide in a way to get angry sounds nuts to me. A lot of wise people to tell those guys who criticize the players when after a match get frustrated and angry and take the rage out. Tell those guys who criticize them, shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about. And after what happened in the U.S. Open, the drama with Serena during the match against Osaka, I took the time to explain people that they don't have an idea about the pressure that those players go through. Of course, they make a lot of money, but still, they're humans, and they experience a lot of pressure, crazy, and especially even more when you're number one in the world, even more when you play a match for history. And, you know, to attack them because they have a reaction that maybe they don't like, it's nuts. And I told those guys, a few guys who were criticizing her, some said it to me, and I said, listen, okay, imagine you wake up angry. Happens to you sometimes, right? Probably quite often. You wake up angry. It's a bad day. You taking a flight and the person at the desk who's checking you in for the flight is talking to you in a very bad way. And you don't have even 1% of the pressure of a Serena playing a match for history. Are you going to react well? Or are you going to shout at the woman back or the man back? You know? Think about it. One comment on YouTube from Theo Laurente 4567. I was saying it in French because he wrote it French. Bonsoir Patrick. J'ai vu beaucoup de tes vidéos pour améliorer mon tennis et ça m'a aidé. Écoute, j'en suis ravi, Théo. Ça me réjouit parce que j'y passe beaucoup de temps et j'y mets beaucoup de cœur, donc j'en suis ravi. He was saying that he's seen a lot of my videos to improve his tennis and that it helped him a lot. And I said the same, that makes me very happy because I put all my work and all my heart in it. Dangerous from Draper when he tries to hit that forehand on Cerúndolo's backhand high. If he plays a bit too short and Cerúndolo has time to move around the backhand, the forehand on that position here, it's a bomb. It's a good question from Holy Bastard. Sorry, Holy BSTRD. The question is, what is the key mid shift required to go from playing to not lose to playing to win? First of all, unfortunately for the players, it doesn't really depend on them, but on circumstances. Who are they playing against? Do they have points to defend? Stuff like that. All those things come to their mind and in a way decide the mindset of the player for that match. I believe that the only way to perform well on a more regular basis, you have to decide what's in your mind rather than letting the circumstances decide for you. And again, a tennis match, to be able to perform, you need to focus on what you want to achieve in terms of goals, tennis goals, rather than thinking about winning or losing. Because when you're thinking about winning or losing, as you don't have full control on it, it affects you in a negative way and it brings a lot of stress. Thank you. That was a very good question. A question on YouTube from Casa the Cat Dog. Yeah, my 7-year-old daughter imitates them and throwing racket after the match. Yeah, that's with a smiling smiley. I understand that, but you are the father. I don't think it's the players, the fathers, and the mothers. So it's you. You can explain, and that's why I said to a lot of people who are saying tennis players have to be role models and blah 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 blah. Tennis players are human beings. They're not perfect. Sometimes they do great. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they can control themselves well. Sometimes it's more difficult. Of course, ideally they should control themselves all the time, but they can't. But I said to them, listen, they give you an opportunity to teach your kids. If they were doing everything well, you would have no opportunity to teach the kids what you think is right, what you think is wrong. It's the same with the movies. When your kids will be older, 11, 12, 13, 14, they're going to watch movies with thieves, drug dealers, all the movies are like that. If you apply the same rule, they should watch movies only with good people, with good behaviors and good values, and it's not going to happen because this is not life. Simple. And every time you watch a match with them or a movie with them is the opportunity to teach them and explain to them. So take it that way with your 7-year-old. I think it's going to be very useful, actually. I go back on Twitch. Apocalypse Chat. Nearly all the people who insult tennis players are fat slobs who wouldn't even know how to hold the racket. Well, no comment. No, but I love the fact that they're fans. And fans sometimes are very excessive. And sometimes they're very judgmental. But I guess that's what being fan is about also. It happened also that a lot of people went against me. Actually, they always go against me. If I say something positive about Alcaraz, they will write, "Oh, you hate Sinner." No, I don't hate Sinner. And if I write something nice about Sinner, they will write, "You hate Alcaraz." And it was the same when there was Roger, Rafa, Novak. Always the same. Do I prefer one or two? Yes, I'm human, but I admire all of them. I think they're all unbelievable champions, and I am not against anybody. But because they're fans, so they feel personally attacked. Kevin Court. Hello. Sorry to be late. Don't do that again, Kevin Court. I was giving classes. Okay, so you're excused. But good to have you again. You also always have great questions and insights. Lesline Live said lol. But I was funny so many times. I don't know what that lol is about. Which one of my joke? I have a question on YouTube from Bradley Jacovides 994. What do you think about Franz Cerúndolo's serve? Well, I think his serve is good. It's not great, but it's good. Technically, I think it's quite clean. I'm going to pay more attention to it to answer you better, but I don't see any problem that would struck me. I think that today is not great. I feel that it's slowing down the hand rather than accelerating it. And that's also the little problem of the players who have too much the culture of clay. A lot of them consider serve as, okay, I would just put the ball in and then we start to play. No. Serve and return are key shots, probably the two most important shots of this game. I think he serves well. He's quite accurate with the serve. He's not crazy fast, but he's very accurate and he makes a lot of points with it. Apocalypse Chat is in a very good mindset today. Funny. He writes on Twitch, you should have known you can't like more than one player. One player is perfect and the rest are evil who should be banned. Sounds good. This is a tough question from Ali 1111. If you could give a nickname describing their tennis to both players, what would it be? Well, the nickname of Draper is, because you know at UTS they all have a nickname and they call by their nickname. It's the Power, and I think it fits him really well. That's exactly it. He gives a really big impression of power. What about Cerúndolo? I would rather call him the Elastic because he's so loose, or the Whip. Oh, the Whip. Yeah, great. El Cannon on UTS. Just to come back to the question about Cerúndolo's serve, he's ranked number 62 best server on the ATP, so way lower than his ranking, ATP ranking, which means that he's not a very big asset in his game. He hits 61% of first serves in. He wins 68.9% of points behind it and 52.7 on second. And he wins 77% of his service games with an average of 3.6 aces per match. Now you know everything about El Cannon. Holly BSTRD. So if I understood correctly, to be a good performer and play to win, the key is to detach from the outcome and focus on what you can control, intrinsic value oriented instead of prize, money, and superficial stuff. I couldn't say it better than you. What did you eat today, Holy BSTRD? You are amazing. Amazing. Draper could be oversized t-shirt man, says Apocalypse Chat on Twitch. You think it's that oversized? I don't think so. But the Thunder would be good too, I think. But the Thunder is already taken by another UTS player. And Let's Line Live, yes, you see that Apocalypse Chat. You're enjoying yourself today, huh? Lol, and then laughing. Apocalypse Chat, you're on a roll today. 5-4 Cerúndolo. Yeah, the Thunder is Struff, which is a good one for him, by the way. A lot of power from this guy too. Yeah, to answer more about the serve of Cerúndolo, the more I pay attention, I think he really lacks a bit acceleration. But technically, it's really clean. I don't see anything wrong. I would say there is something a little bit wrong. He makes a little pause here. It's not going from a certain speed and accelerating until boom. Have a great question from Linda. I'm going to answer right after this point. Well done. Good serve. Good forehand. Patrick, are rivalries in tennis as strong as they used to be? Oh, I don't know what you mean exactly by rivalry. Is it rivalries also in terms of personalities, that guys who don't like each other that much? If it's what you mean, not at all. Of course, there are guys who don't get along well. Yeah, guys who really had problems in the past together, and it stayed, and they still have a... I mean, you can feel the tension between them. Yeah, they are. The top guys, not so much. I'm thinking about more Alcaraz, Sinner, who get along with everybody. But there has been tension. There has been tension. I remember one match between and Draper. In the game when Cerúndolo was supposed to finish up the set, he hits double fault, forehand error. Yeah, players are more careful, but some guys have hot tempers and they can't. Stefanos, he had fights with Medvedev, big ones. Yeah, exactly. Marat's 11 is just writing it. Huge ones. I remember a match between Nori and Novak also. When Nori went straight at Novak, hit him with the ball. Oh, Bublik and Mute. Oh, They said to each other, "Okay, let's go outside and fight." Yeah, that's cool. That's fun. That's more real, because it's tennis match is basically a boxing match, but players are not touching each other. RV27 channel, welcome to that chat. Hey, Patrick's on Twitch. First of all, greetings from Portugal. One question: how realistic is the possibility of Novak to win the 25th Grand Slam? Well, I was saying... Oh, Draper just broke back. I was just saying before the match, or at the start of the match, sorry, I made sure you didn't hear this one. Novak won today, and I think it's a great thing. People can say he didn't play well, blah, 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 blah. Thank you. Bless you. Blah, 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 it's worrying. I don't think so. I think he didn't play great, but he didn't play bad. He also played someone who played out of his mind today. But he fought to win. And it's a big difference. Just as a reminder, Novak didn't reach the last 16 of Indian Wells since 2017. Last year, he lost in the first round in several Masters 1000. He didn't care. Now, he shows he cares. If he keeps that mindset, he's going to go to the Grand Slams with way more confidence, because whoever you are, nothing replaces wins. Going to a Grand Slam with 10 wins, 2 losses, or 5 or 6 losses and 3 wins, it's not the same, whoever you are. So I'm happy that he focuses and is giving his best to find a way through and win, because I think it's a great sign. So if he does this, I think he really has a shot to win a Grand Slam. If he doesn't, I don't believe it. And I don't believe it also for another reason. When he comes to the Grand Slams, he's so out of shape. So, of course, he prepared for it, but he didn't play matches. And it's a different effort. And you see, Australian Open, he starts to have blisters. And I mean, the top guys, the pros don't get blisters anymore because they play all the time, so their skin is used to it. He's going to be super sore because you can train as much as you want. The effort in a match is not the same because the adrenaline kicks in, and it's not the same effort. And you can't afford to be sore in a Grand Slam because you just didn't play the weeks before. You didn't win matches. So I think it's a great idea, and I'm happy he does it. We have a stat. We said how much the first serve was unbelievable in the first set. He had 75% in with an incredible percentage of points won after it. In the second set, only 52%. That makes a big difference, and that explains why he got broken. And he was so far from being broken in the first set. Ooh, 2 break points again to save. First one saved really in a good way with a good serve and forehand, and then he had an easy overhead. And second set outside, so on the outside, he hit only 40% of serves in. And this is the best side for the lefties because they have the slice. And usually when you hit the slice backhand, the slice serve, you hit a lot of serves in. They usually have a higher percentage on the outside than on the deuce side. That's an amazing slice serve. Great angle, extremely short, and that's enough. You see, we're talking about the percentage of points won by this guy, Jack Draper, on the break points. And again, he shows how amazing in terms of confidence he is to save those break points in the best possible way. Serve and volley. Yeah, he's decisive, Big points, let's go for it. I want this point to be up to me. Funny one from Apocalypse Chat, talking about rivalry. He wrote on Twitch, Rublev and his racket manufacturers is an all-time rivalry. Good one. And Linda is asking, is it too early to ask which player improved the most in the past year? No, because it's not too early. If you ask me which one improved the most in 2026, it's too early. But the past year, no, it's not too early. Let me think. For sure, Bublik. Bublik, huge progression. I'm looking at the draw. I'd say Tien. Tien improved a lot. Actually, he won yesterday, and he's going to play against Davidovich Fokina in the next round. Fonseca beat Tommy Paul yesterday in a great way. Sinner beat Shapovalov. We're going to have a Sinner Fonseca tomorrow. Poof. I'm going to do the commentary. I can't miss this one. Tiafoe beat Koboli easily. Felix Auger-Aliassime beat Diallo. And he's going to play against Arthur Fils. That's going to be a great match as well. Yeah, I told you, I think I would say Tien and Bublik, I think. Some guys came back in a great form, but they were at a very high level already. 6-5 Draper, who saved his serve. Oh, on the women's side, Rybakina, less line live. But I don't think she improved. I think she came back to her best. And I think that she was extremely affected by the decision of the WTA to forbid her coach from coaching her for a year. She made no results at all. The guy comes back, boom, Grand Slam win. I'm gonna also answer some questions on YouTube. From Tennis is Physics. Oh, let me just see the schedule for tomorrow. Fonseca Sinner, not before 6. So night session on the main court, of course. And first we have a Fils Auger-Aliassime at 11 a.m. Oof, that's a great match. Okay, Cerúndolo in danger. 15-30 on his serve, 6-5 Draper. But you see how when Draper finds his forehand, how much he hurts Cerúndolo every time. So the question of Tennis is Physics is first, thoroughly enjoyed your book, The Champion Mindset. Thank you very much. It's also something that was very important to me, this book, so I'm happy to hear that. Second, what % time do advanced players spend practicing versus match play? Okay, I can answer that question. They basically practice, so it depends. Is it talking about the practice the week before a tournament, when they're on site already, or when they're practicing at home? In general, I would say they practice tennis 2 hours a day and they do 1-2 hours fitness when they are on the site of the tournament. There are not a lot of courts available, so it's a fight. When they're at home, they practice way more, probably twice 2 hours tennis, so 4 hours of tennis, 2 hours of fitness. But a guy like Rafa, for example, was doing something very smart. He was, instead of doing 2 hours in the morning tennis and then 2 hours in the afternoon tennis, he was doing 4 hours in a row. And why it's smart? But simply because in a Grand Slam, you can play 4 hours, 5 hours match. And if you never do it at practice, you're going to be in trouble when you will have to perform in a match. Someone like Zverev practices way more, even the week before a tournament on site. Way more. One day I was with Holger and we go for a 2-hour session. It was at the US Open. We arrive on court and Zverev is already on the court. So he started before us and he stopped after us. So I think he did at least 3 hours in a row. Match point for Draper. And it's done. And it's interesting because Cerúndolo on that match looked very unconfident, very hesitating a lot, not trusting his shots. And I find it really weird because first he just won 2 matches, so it's not that he doesn't have rhythm. And second, he just won a tournament. It was on clay, okay, but at home in Buenos Aires, so he should be fully confident. That's really surprising. Good performance from Draper. I think every match now is going to just get better. I'll be there at 2 a.m. tomorrow, European time, to do the commentary of that match that everybody wants to watch between Fonseca and Sinner. It's at 6 o'clock Pacific time, so for people who are in California. And it's at 2 a.m. for us in Europe, so we prepare to sacrifice anything for a good tennis match. So I'll be there at 2 with you guys. Hopefully, I wish everyone a great night for the ones who are in Europe, and for the ones who are in the US, a great end of the day. A lot of great matches coming up. You're lucky. I wish I would watch all of them, but I need to sleep a little bit. See you tomorrow, and thank you for being here. Bye-bye.